Welcome back wherever and whenever you're watching. It's Carlos Infante, and I'm back after almost a month without any new videos. I wasn't really gone, as you can see if you were watching all the live shows I was there, but I hadn't been able to make a video because my laptop actually crashed about around the I believe it was the second week of August. So it went to get fixed. Turns out, my hard drive just needed to be completely changed, and well, I lost a lot of things, not very important things, and some of them I can actually get them back. So it was, quick fix, just getting the hard drive changed, and after that, just being keeping busy, just getting my setting up my computer the way I like it. Mostly iTunes. I had to get all my music back on. I love podcasts, and I had to upload those as well. So finished a few days ago. Then just been a question of finding the right time to uh, do one of these. In fact, before it crashed, I had planned to make a few videos, but we've been having a lot of rain here in Mexico, so lighting is not so good, and I just couldn't really find the time to do them. But uh, I really like the hiatus I was on making videos. Little break kind of made me think of ways of making the videos much more interesting, because before after my last video, I was kind of feeling a bit down. I was thinking I was getting a little stale, just showing my weekly pool. uh, so I've come up with a few ideas to kind of make them better. uh, so with my weekly pools, I'll probably do a ranking of after I show the books I got, the many reviews I usually give. I'll probably just put my top read or my top reads, the top five books I liked, or depending on the stacks I get, the number of books I get. I'll probably do like maybe one, like this is my favorite book, or my top three, or my top five, or you know my favorite book to my least favorite book of the week. I'll probably even do one for like the best book I've read all month long. And whenever if I ever remember, you know which book I liked the most in a given month. So I'll be doing that. Probably, hopefully, you know, do at least once a month, like a retro review, reviewing, an old storyline or a back issue I really liked. I'll be doing that as well. I think, once or twice a month would be would add a little bit extra with those retro reviews. If you saw my video, the video I did with the review I gave of the Superman for Tomorrow storyline, I really like doing that one. So if so, I really want to continue doing that, but much more prepared. Take down notes, and usually doing it once or twice a month, depending on what I plan to review. Just need time to reread my stuff, and I think it's a good way of showcasing some of my books from my collection, differently than just showing, like the runs or whatever. Just showing specific books. so I'll be doing that as well. If I have the time, because sometimes I don't. But that's the plan actually. So while I was away uh, making videos, I actually um, got a few things which I'll be showing. Um, Before that, I'm very excited because I decided to add two new books to my regular reading, not to my regular pool. Uh, those won't change really, but I like to be flexible. At times, I really like to try a new book, and if I like it, I would just continue to pick it up without having it set apart. So that way, if I can't buy an issue on the week it comes out, I could you know come back the following week and just buy it. Um, some books that I usually show with my weekly pull are those that are regular reads that aren't in my uh, pull list specifically, but which I liked so much that I buy them regularly. So one of them is an independent book, which I think if you've been watching my last few videos, it's The Mysterious Strangers. I just love that book a lot. I really like it for so many reasons, which I'll get to when the next issue comes out. Um, I really enjoyed issue number three. I've enjoyed issue one and two as well. I like the aesthetics of it, very retro in so many ways. It's supposed to be a book that does pays an homage to those 1960s adventure spy shows, and it has that design, that the story is designed that way. The art, um, really fits to that time era, the 60s. The coloring, I believe it's flat, not so much texturized as with many effects as most books have. So I'm really excited to add that book as long as it keeps showing up in my shop, because as I mentioned before, indies or small press books are usually you know very hard to follow through because sometimes the shop doesn't buy a lot of copies. In fact, issue number three was like the only copy in the in my shop that I saw. But as long as it's there, I'll be picking it up. The other book I'm adding is a Marvel book. I haven't bought a Marvel book in a while, uh, but it made me realize that I always thought myself as a Spider-Man fan, but as it turns out, dropping Spider-Man back in 2005 was so easy, and I've never really gotten back to the character. I bought a few issues here and there between 2005 and now, um, but nothing that drives me to continue reading the character regularly. It never really caught my attention as much as the X-Men did. In fact, I stopped reading the X-Men back in 2009. Uncanny X-Men was the only book I was reading up until 4 years ago. But I always keep coming back to the X-Men. The last time I bought an X-Men book was probably maybe last year during the Avengers vs. X-Men. I actually got the X-Men Legacy, formerly known as X-Men 1991. Um, the the issue prior to the tying to Avengers vs. X-Men, and then I believe it was like three issues of that. I just reread them a few days ago. Um, so the book I decided to buy was All New X-Men, and All New X-Men was a book that when I heard what it was about, at least the initial premise, I was rolling my eyes and like, oh great, no, Marvel's gonna mess up their continuity. Uh, but you know, I like to write, and as a writer or an amateur writer, I realized that even the dumbest idea, or at least the dumbest sounding premise, opens the door to a whole bunch of ideas. And I've been hearing good things about the book even before it came out. I was very curious about it. I didn't buy the first issue, 2.99. So I'm always with Marvel. I'm like, I don't think I want to buy 3.99 for a Marvel book, because it's got less pages than a regular 2.99 book by DC. It's 32 pages, I believe. No, 28 pages. With 20 page stories and eight, 20-page stories and a whole bunch of ads. So I never really like to overpay for something. But now I realize that they have all these little the AR thing and the digital download stuff, which they a while back they said they weren't charging you more for the digital download, but actually they are charging you more for the digital download because it's a lot less content page wise than what a DC book has. But I've been really curious about it, so I bought issue 15. Um, I really like that one. I just bought issue 16, which we'll get to that in a second. And I've been buying back issues. I've just bought issue 2 and issue 3, both of them third printings. I haven't gotten number 1 because the only number 1s are variants that they have in my shop. So those are, of course, expensive. So I might just order number 1 online, or if slow week, maybe I'll just get one of the cheapest variant because they have the Joker's other variant, and that's really high because it's a smaller print run on that one. So, but so far 2 and 3 are I've been satisfied with the read of those, and I'll be getting the rest of the back issues of the rest of the series. Uh, up to issue 14. You know, throughout the maybe this month and next month. Just slowly getting those 13 issues and get number 1 later. Uh, so that's what's been going on. So I also bought a while back um, this Superman Unbound. This is the Mexican version or Latin American version of it, which is based on the Superman Brainiac by Geoff Johns and Gary Frank, which I really like the. It's a very good adaptation of that story, and I'm thinking of doing a review of this film with the actual comic book um, story, so you kind of get a side by side comparison of what the movie did and what the comic book story was about. Um, I'm actually thinking of getting uh, the Justice League Flashpoint Paradox film as well. Um, but I was gonna get it, but it was a little bit higher. It cost a little bit more than this film, and just waiting for it to. It actually just dropped the price, so just a question of when I can go and get it. I hear it's very good adaptation of the Flashpoint miniseries. So I'll be showing you now what I picked up in the past 2 weeks. Villains Month, Forever Evil, 3D covers, which I'm not getting them. I'll probably right now the stuff I got last week will probably be the only 3D cover you'll be seeing from me. Um, in fact, I went to the shop on Thursday uh, to get some books, and the shop actually had this sort of like two packs of 3D covers and the 2D cover, but they were, I mean, some of them were really around $30, and some of them were around $50, but between 270 pesos and 470, which kind of shocked me, especially for a certain table. I'll get to in a sec. Um, but I'm more into this for the story than the covers, and even though the covers are really freaking cool. So what I got last week, we'll start with we'll get to the 3 days later. You know, first up, Forever Evil #1. I really enjoyed this book because sorry for the glare. I think this is better. I really enjoyed this one because first of all, it takes the whole concept of what a crossover is, but it kind of turns it on its ear because it's not heroes getting together to fight an, a villain or a group of villains. It's a group of villains getting together to take over the world. So you kind of get the same feeling that most crossovers have. Where it reminded me a bit of Crisis on Infinite Earths, where heroes are being summoned to fight in Crisis to fight the Anti-Monitor. Here you get a similar summoning of by the Crime Syndicate, summoning villains, but to have them take over the world. So it's very, very twisted. Um, it just takes the whole concept of a crossover and it's just a very twisted version of that, which I actually really liked. Uh, and one of my favorite scenes here is when Ultraman sniffs the kryptonite. Um, here this sequence here. Um, here we go. He sniffs the kryptonite, and I actually liked it because one, Ultraman, and I actually checked this little research on that even the original Ultraman was dependent on kryptonite to gain his powers. A reverse take on Superman, who kryptonite is his weakness, so he has to stay away from kryptonite. But Ultraman depends on kryptonite to make him strong. But at the same time, the scene really shows that it's also weakness because he's dependent on it. And to show that dependence in a very visual way was what's the worst addiction that there is? Drugs, cocaine. That's like that whole scene sort of, it's disturbing, but at the same time it's very meaningful as yeah, kryptonite makes him strong, but it's his weakness because he depends on it. Without it, he's just a regular guy, I guess. A guy with very, he's less powerful. So that dependence with with kryptonite, he constantly has to you know get kryptonite to continue to have his level of power, and that definitely really really got to me. Yeah, it's so twisted. Ultraman is such a twisted type of character that he wouldn't really admit that he's The kryptonite makes him weak. You know, it's his weakness because it gives him so much power. Okay, so moving on. So I'll try to make this as short as I can. Cyborg Superman. This, like I said, this is probably the few 3D covers you'll be seeing from me, and I really, I mean, DC did an amazing job with these covers, and so I have a question. I mean, if you picked up, this book, uh, are people going to continue to follow the Cyborg Superman story in Supergirl? I mean, I love that this ties to the current Supergirl story, and it's a good way to attract new readers to the book, despite that it says Action Comics. But really, this story really continues in Supergirl. So that's where the character made his first appearance, and that's where he's continuing to appear. So I'm wondering if people are just got into a Cyborg Superman because of the covers and not really because they care about the character or the story. So, anyways, this tells us the origin of Cyborg Superman. And if you've been reading Supergirl, uh, Supergirl number 23 revealed that this cyborg is actually Zor-El. So we've so those that have been reading Supergirl know that Cyborg was created by Brainiac, or suspected that Brainiac had a hand in his creation. And here we see why or how that came to be. So I really enjoyed it. I really like the um, interactions between Jor-El and Zor-El. You hardly ever get that, you know, because both of them are or had been technically dead for, and just get very small glimpses of that. So I really like that. Bizarro Superman. Um, I was a little bit, disappointed in this book, because you don't really end up getting Bizarro. You get a Bizarro, but not this guy. Um, and it's more about Lex Luthor than Bizarro in the first place. It was written by Charlie Fish, who did back the backup stories in during Grant Morrison's run. Um, so it kind of ties up a few things from, I believe, Reader's Actions maybe two. I think it ties up things of events that occurred in action number two. But we see the creation of, I guess, the first Bizarro, but not the one that we see here that shows up in Forever Evil's cover. Uh, so there's like another Bizarro, being created. So it was kind of disappointing because I thought this would be a very different origin than the typical clone or imperfect double that we've seen in the past. I really like the fact that there would have been a person involved in with the creation of Bizarro, not just a bunch of cells that were forced that created a clone. So very disappointed in this one. It was okay, but wasn't what I expected. So you know never really even got a Bizarro or Bizarro, the Bizarro, just a Bizarro. Uh, this I think this is one of my favorite covers of all. Relic, Green Lantern 23.1. Uh, Now this guy's been appearing in some of the Green Lantern books. He hasn't really shown up in Green Lantern, but this definitely s- serves as an origin to the villain and as a prelude to the Green Lantern event Lights Out that uh, it's coming next month. So you get the origin of Relic. Um, I really like this book, and for a space story, you usually expect a lot of black, because it takes place in space. But this opening page, I mean, look at that, very colorful. The colors are really bright, in double page right here. Um, and what I really liked about this is it adds another piece to the Green Lantern mythology. That J.F. Johns brought a lot of new stuff to Green Lantern, and this is just another piece by the new creative team, you know that adds to the ongoing saga of the Green Lantern, Green Lantern Corps, and Hal Jordan, and I really like that new concepts are being constantly being brought to the table in the Green Lantern books. So very good, very good, very entertaining. Finally, Green Arrow 23.1, Count Vertigo. We get his origin, and this guy is completely, completely sick, and some very terrible things happened to him when he was a kid that really messed him up. And the last page, or the last few pages, you know were incredibly, I guess, disturbing. I did have a problem with this book though, which is part of it takes in the present, and part of it is like a flashback. So at first I was kind of confused with the flashbacks and the present time. I wasn't even sure where part of the story was taking place. Then I just had to go back a few pages just to kind of grasp where we were, or where the story was moving, where the, like, you know um, um, where the present sequences were taking place, and what where the flashbacks were moving from. you know. But once I actually kind of got that, the present part was taking place in Canada, uh, then kind of you know say, oh, okay, 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 and I really enjoyed the story. I mean that the ending was very, very, it shows you how sick Vertigo is. um I bought this back issue, Ultimate X-Men number 95. I think I mentioned before that I was actually going through the entire 100 issue run of the original Ultimate X-Men, and I actually stopped buying the book at issue 94. 94 was my last issue. So I'm just getting the last 6 issues of the series. I might be getting the Requiem issue as well, one shot. So yep, there we go. I just got bought issue 95. I should have bought issue 96 this week, but no, I chose something else instead. So I'm just kind of halting the book right now. I just finished reading issue 93. So I'm almost caught up on that. So, or I just got caught up where I left off. So I'm gonna get the last 6 issues with, and then finish the last 6 issues or 7 issues that I'll be getting within the next few weeks. Okay, I'll do next 95. It's a very cool cover though. You know, I really like this cover. Okay, so that's what I got last week. So what did I get this week? It's a much more smaller little haul that I got, bit smaller. Not really covers, but I did get some DC stuff. First off, Brainiac and or Superman 23.2, Brainiac number one, if you will. So I mentioned that my show had like a two pack or two covers, the pack. They had the 3D and the 2D covers, as a pack package deal. And this one for both cars was 270 pesos, so that's around the $30 mark, I believe. Um, I really like this issue a lot because, and I mentioned that last night on Comic Book Friday. It really ties every version of Brainiac we've seen so far. You know, because if you read Action Comics, you get a sort of a freaky type of monster, like a worm. This guy show appears in Grant Morrison's run. And in Superman, if you picked up a Superman annual, you kind of get this more classic version of Brainiac. So the book it really explains all of that. It just ties everything up. I mean, with the Cyborg, you get a little bit of Brainiac as well, and you actually get to see this guy. It kind of explains his motives. What makes him, what's driving him really, and kind of ties with what's going on in the Superman books as well. So it just ties everything up nicely. You just get a very full origin. You get a good explanation of the collector of worlds that showed up in um, Action Comics to the more classically known Brainiac, and you learn that the collector is actually a sort of drone that Brainiac sends out, and with an aspect of that has an aspect of his self. Brainiac is I read somewhere in a review that in many ways Brainiac is like the anti Jor-El, whereas uh, Brainiac, I mean, he experiments with his own son, you know, trying to save the Coluan race, but you know, you know, and Joel on the other hand does everything he can to save his own people from destruction, as well as the fact that Joel defeated the multitude, which again is a reference back to Action Comics. So if you never really read Action Comics, and I don't know why the hell you're reading this book if you don't really grasp, you know, I mean, it does a lot to explain. It really explains a lot of things. But, if you haven't read, you know, Action Comics, the earlier issues, I don't know why. I really don't understand why you would be picking this up in the first place because it just ties a lot of stuff. So if you don't have, so it does a decent job of explaining a few things, but you really need to uh, know what happened in Grant Morrison's run of Action to just get the whole to get a much more fuller experience with this book. So but I enjoyed it. I've been reading Superman books for a long time, and it just made perfect sense with every version that's shown up so far. Next up, Reverse Flash, two regular cover 2D. The two pack for this one, the 3D 2D cover. Um, uh, this was like the most expensive one I saw, 470 pesos. I brought 50 bucks for this cover and the 2D cover, and it's like that's insane. I mean, it's way too. Why would Brainiac be, you know, why would a Brainiac book or a lot of the other books, Black Manta and all those other books, be worth we, have a lower price point for both covers, and this book have a higher price point. Just I never really understand what goes on in the my shop with the people at my shop, which sometimes they overprice things, irrationally. Okay, anyways, reverse flash number one, flash 23.2. A must read for me actually, uh, because um, it's the origin of the reverse flash. So if you've been reading the Flash, uh, that it was revealed that Reverse Flash was actually Iris's brother, Daniel. So here we see what how he became the Reverse Flash. It all ties up, to I believe the previous storyline that went on in the book. Probably somewhere, yeah, somewhere around the Gorilla Grodd story, and yeah, that's the previous issue, previous story. Uh, and so we know what happened, uh, and why I believe why Reverse Flash wasn't really going after Iris. Uh, so I mean, but it actually, again, if you're not reading the Flash, and I mean, you come to the last page to this, ending, and you just bought the book because of the cover. I don't know. I mean, you know, I like the idea that DC does these books. You get the origins, but a lot of them just tie to a whole bunch of other things. Whether it be to Forever Evil, maybe to ongoing storylines, and I think DC's hope is that if you pick up this book, or you pick up, this book, or um, this book, oh wait, or this book, or you know, this book, that it would make people interested in the characters, that they'd go and get the rest of them, which I know it's not going to happen. Little accident here, folks, nothing to worry about. But I'm excited to see how this thing ends, because you know things could get really really messy. Okay, so that are my DC books, and like I mentioned, I actually bought the all new X-Men this week. This actually came out last week. Like I said, I was a little I didn't go to the large shop last week. Uh, I actually went to my smaller shop because those 3D covers that I showed were like guarantee buys for me. But yeah, so I actually uh, bought this week, and when it comes to crossovers, usually you get kind of I've heard people that just follow the story in one book might get a little confused with what's been going on. I didn't have that problem. Yeah, I mean, you have this opening page anyway, so it kind of catches you up on what's been going on. Um, and I didn't, get feel that I got lost with with the story at all. I followed it very nicely. Um, I am interested in seeing where this thing goes, so I don't know if I'll be picking up the rest of the crossover, but I was really interested in what's been going on here. Uh, but that depends. And the only back issue I bought it is this one, All New X-Men number 3, the third printing. Um, like I said, I actually bought issue 2 a while back, about 2 weeks ago. So I'm slowly catching up on the book. I'm actually enjoying this series, so that's why I'll probably continue to pick it up, both the current issues as they come out, and this to get caught up. So that's what I've been. So that's my pickup for this week, and I actually, even though it came out last week, I definitely, this was my favorite book that I've read this week, especially because of the reveal at the second last page. So that's why I'm kind of interested in seeing where that story goes. But I won't definitely be. I'll probably I'll wait for the collected edition. Probably, or just uh, I'll just try to follow it as through reviews, or you know, or um, I'm just rumbling on here, but so I guess that means that I have to go now because I'm running out of things to say. So until next time, keep smiling.